Good morning. Sorry, having technical difficulties. We'll get started here in a second. I need a little bit of a better camera here. Good morning. Sorry, having technical difficulties. All right, happy Sunday. I haven't had my coffee yet, so we'll be drinking coffee while we prep this morning. Good morning, Grandma. All right, welcome to this week's prep. I know I have a few others that are coming and joining me live this morning, so I'll go slow before I get started. So, thanks to Grandma. Thanks to Kelly for getting me this apron. Love it. Love fun aprons. So this week we are doing recipes off this new book I got, Party in Your Plants. She's getting free advertising, Talia here. I'm obsessed with it. I've been cooking so many recipes from this. It's amazing. They're simple, especially if you've never tried a plant-based diet before. She really explains everything really well, even goes into kind of habit-changing things. So it's really amazing. I'll keep bringing her up. Love all her recipes. Very good. So we're trying 2 recipes from her this week. We're trying a Besto pesto bake, and then we're also doing a Camo tofu with some cauliflower rice. So I'm combining 2 of her recipes together. Good morning, Tori. The camera's so far away, I have my computer over here to see any comments or questions, so let me make sure this is up and running. Oh, Tori, you got a copy. That's so great. It's such a good book. Oh my gosh, so many good recipes in here. I've probably tried like 10 or 12 now, and I'm excited to try these 2 recipes today. And caveat, I have not done these recipes before, so we are all doing them for the first time together. It's gonna be fun and exciting. So I did not prep my space very well this morning, so I will be doing everything with you guys this morning. All right, so first things first, hopefully you're a little more prepped out than I am this morning and had your coffee or water, which I have not, so I'll be drinking my coffee and water. We had a long day on the boat yesterday, so I'm a little sore and tired. All right, so first things first, we're gonna try tofu. So, I've tried tofu once or twice, and I have not liked the way I cooked it, so I'm very interested to see how this goes for cooking tofu this week. Tori, do you eat tofu regularly? I don't know, I haven't. I cooked it one time and I just did not like the texture. So I'm really hoping this recipe is more of a go-to recipe for me. So I'm gonna get one of my tofu blocks out this week. So if you're cooking for others, in her book it's really great. She talks about cooking for couples, cooking for others who don't want to be plant-based. This week, Stephen really wants some meat. So he's having ground turkey in his rice, cauliflower rice, and I'll be having tofu in my cauliflower rice. So this week I'll be making one camo tofu. All right, so we're gonna start with the tofu just because it does need to be pressed for a while to get that liquid out, I'm assuming. So to follow Talia's recipe here from Party in Your Plants, I'm gonna get my tofu open and drain it in the sink. Tori, I know it's hard for you to chat while you're cooking with me. I'll be interested to see if you have any other better tofu recipes. All right, second time trying tofu. We'll see how this goes. All right, so in her recipe here, we are you're supposed to press this tofu for about 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how long you want to press it. It's to get that liquid out, I'm assuming. So I'm gonna pull up the recipe too, so I have it. Actually, let's use the cookbook, old school style. Again, party your plans, so good. We're gonna try the camo tofu. I'm gonna call it camo tofu. All right, so we're gonna press it between 2 baking sheets here to get some of the liquid out. So I'm just gonna press a little bit in here, try and get some out. And then what she recommends is getting something large to lay on top of here to start pressing it. So I'm gonna look around my kitchen here. I should have gotten something this morning. Let's see what I can find. All right, I got some pretty heavy aluminum foil here, so I'm just going to press this on top here. It seems pretty heavy. I might need to add some more. Let's see if I have anything else that's heavy. Probably have some large textbooks around, but I'm not going to go looking for those right now. It's going to be a balancing act over here. Well, I don't know about this. All right, well, we'll try that for now. We'll let it get pressed out a little bit. All right, so our tofu is being pressed. I'm gonna try and do that for a while since we're gonna start with the Besto pesto pasta. Hey, and Angie, good morning. See, Tori, I just saw a comment. You've never liked tofu either. Did you get tofu? I've never liked it, so I'm curious of this recipe. I really wanna like tofu because I feel like I need a little more protein in my plant-based diet here, so I'm trying tofu again. We'll see if we like it. Hopefully I can hide it within my rice, kind of like my veggies. So we'll see how this goes today. All right, so the first thing we're gonna start while that's being pressed out is the Besto Pesto Planty Pasta Bake. So if you do get the book, Partying Your Plants, let's see, I have so many freaking tabs in here. It's page 200 in here. Looks delicious. If you can't see it, I don't have any pictures on the thing yet. So we are going to follow this recipe here. Oh, thanks, Tori, for trusting me with the tofu. All right, so I did not get any of my stuff out, so I'm going to start getting these ingredients out. So I'm going to get the walnuts, my pasta, and a lot of the other items here. All right, so I got the chickpea cavatappi. You can find cavatappi. Hopefully you found some type of pasta you like. In her recipe, it looks like she uses chickpea cavatappi, so I basically found it. And it doesn't have any added sugars in the back, so I was pretty pumped about that. So I got the chickpea cavatappi. All right, got our walnuts. Let's see, I've got my sun-dried tomatoes. And actually, it's crazy. I really didn't get ready this morning. I'm going to go outside really fast and get some basil and cut some off. We bought fresh basil. Super easy to take care of if you want basil and you're even in an apartment. You can put it on a balcony or at a sunshiny window and have some good basil. It's really hard to find the basil in the store lately, for me at least. So if you didn't find basil and you want to make this recipe, I've even just gotten some basil paste for it. So whatever you can find that has basil flavoring. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go cut some of my basil off. So it looks like I need about 2 cups of basil. So I'm going to go get a few leaves. So I'll be right back. It's a beautiful day outside, so hopefully we can get through this and get outside. All right, fresh basil, so good. I never knew I liked basil till I tried it, and Hopefully you try some basil sometime if you have not. All right, so I've got my basil. Let's get some spinach out and some garlic. I was gonna use real garlic cloves, but I'm not in the mood to try and mince those this morning. And spinach. Pouring some of my coffee this morning. All right, what else do we need to be ready here? 4th cup of olive oil. I forgot olive oil, so hopefully it's as good, but I'm just gonna use some of my regular canola oil here. Hopefully you have vanilla or some type of oil. Forgot my olive oil this week. So again, if you're ever missing ingredients, feel free to chat or even look on Google something to replace it. Or a lot of times you can skip that. That's what I love about the book. She has the same philosophy as me of, you know, if you're missing something from the recipe, you're fine. Keep trying. If you're missing a spice, who cares? Try something else. Google. You know, if it doesn't taste good, like last night I made really gross milkshake. So you know what? I just didn't drink it and didn't deserve a milkshake after that. So, all right. What else do we need in here? All right, broccoli. If you got frozen or just regular broccoli. Bagged for us already, so if you don't get these, you can start chopping up your broccoli if you're waiting for me to get all my ingredients together. And then peas, I got some frozen peas, I think. Yep, some frozen peas here to add. And nutritional yeast. Gotta have that. Favorite thing, nutritional yeast. So good. Adds that cheesy flavor to anything. All right, let's see. And some salt and some lemon. All right, I think I have all the recipes. I'm obsessed with onion. This recipe does not have onion in it, but I thought that a yellow onion would taste really good in this recipe, so I'm going to chop a yellow onion. Normally I would use my food processor, but it's only one onion, so I'm going to find my sunglasses and attempt to quickly cut my onion here. And before I do that though, so I'm just gonna get that prepared, I'm going to start getting my setup ready. So we're gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees, and then I'm gonna get a large pot and bring it to a boil here. So let's do 400 degrees. And then I'm gonna get a large pot out here. Fill it with water per your pasta, so whatever your pasta states. All right, so fill your pots up for your pasta. I'm making it for 2 people this week. So I'm trying to do 10 servings of pasta here. I mostly go by the serving size when I'm doing things like pasta or things in boxes. So I just look, so like a serving size, there's 4 per container in here. And so this is my lunch this week. It's even in my lunch. So I'm gonna do 10 servings. I got 3 boxes. I'll do a few of this box. And then have a little pasta left over for some other time when I want to make some pasta. All right, so I'm just gonna open these to get these ready. And then gotta turn on that stove to get the water boiling. All right. So I like to try and prep my scene as I go here. And get the boxes open beforehand so I'm not rushing to get the pasta in. And then while we're at it, if you haven't cut your veggies yet, it's time to cut the veggies. So, all right, I'm gonna try not to cry on camera too much here. So I've got my sunglasses to try and attempt to not cry. So I'm gonna just do 1 yellow onion to add to this recipe. She doesn't have this in her book, but like I said, Steven and I are just love onions. So I try to add it to almost every meal. Get a quick dice in of your onion. Again, if you have a food chopper or if you want to use your food processor, I'm a big fan of cutting my onions in a food processor. As you can see, otherwise, I'm just going to be crying here on camera. All right, let's see if I can get this quickly cut without chopping my finger off. You can cut them however you want. They don't have to be diced too fine, or if you don't even want onion, don't add it. Or you can do long slices, whatever you want. You never have to follow these recipes to a T. The more you cook, the more you learn of what you can and can't do, or what you do and don't like. All right, so pretty quick here. Not too bad, not too sharp on onion. I don't think I'll cry, but I will rinse my hands off. All right, if you have your tofu over there being pressed, I'm gonna kind of look around. I recommend using a cutting board that has divots or having it in your sink. I should have mentioned that because I can see the liquid going around my cutting board right now. So I'm gonna dump a little bit of mine in the sink now. A lot of liquid in here. You can hear it going in my sink, probably not. Got some on my feet too. Alright, try and press this back down a little bit, maybe the other way. Play with that, go get some bigger books, go get heavier things to put on top of your tofu for the next recipe while we're pressing it out. All right, so I got my onion cut, I've got my peas. I'm gonna just cut these open to prepare. Oh no, I forgot. So this is my first time doing these recipes too. So you can see how I prep the first time I cook. You forget things. It takes a little longer sometimes, but I forgot we're gonna roast the walnuts here. So we have our oven on, thank goodness we got that started. But I am going to get a ungreased baking sheet right now, and I'm going to spread my walnuts on them to prepare them. So sorry I'm kind of all over the place. Again, first time doing this recipe with you guys too. So got my baking sheet, don't grease it. And we're gonna do a cup of almonds if you're cooking for 2 people. So get my almonds open. And we're gonna do a cup. Let me check my recipe actually. Let's see if I said a cup. Yep, about a cup of almonds here. If you really like almonds like we do, I'm going to do a little bit over a cup. So her recipe serves about 4 on here. So if you want to add a little bit more to the recipe, if you're making it for 2 people, if you want 8 meals, 10 meals, you kind of play around. You can add just a little bit more actually. All right. Something spread out on your pan here, and then as soon as it goes off, I'm going to throw them in the oven for a little bit. So All right. So now if I follow the recipe in the book, we'll start there here. So, okay. So water boiling. All right. Spinach, walnuts, basil, garlic, olive oil, and a food processor. All right. So we do need a food processor for this. If you don't have one, you can use a blender. So hopefully you have a blender. But again, if you don't have a food processor, I definitely recommend the investment. I'm so happy I bought one. I use it for so many things. Makes life so much easier for cooking. It's definitely worth it. All right, so it looks like we're doing the spinach, the walnuts once they're baked, the basil, the garlic, the lemon juice, and nutritional yeast in there. So, okay, perfect. So I'll get this ready and set. If you have basil, I'm gonna have to pick mine off the stems really fast, but it's about, let's see, did I say a cup? You know, I think I might have put 2 cups on my recipe to double it. So however much basil you can find, again, if you couldn't find basil, it's not the end of the world. If you found dry basil, that's good too. Get that basil taste in there. But again, if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or anywhere, you can just buy a basil plant. And I'm pretty sure they keep growing back all summer. I might have to Google that a little bit more. We've had a few basil plants in the past, but I never use as much basil as I have now, so we'll see this summer how it goes. All right, so I'm gonna get my basil ready. Again, if you go in the produce section, you'll find some basil paste that you could use too. I've had a hard time finding basil, but this fresh basil just adds so much to your recipe. It's really good. And you don't have to be too picky about your basil or your spinach. I used to like to pick my ends off the spinach, but if you are blending it or putting it in a food processor, it all gets so cut up that, you know, nothing really bothers you. It's really smooth and creamy. So don't worry about being too picky. All right, so if your pot is boiling, it's time to get your pasta in there and just cook how the back of your box or bag or whatever you got, cook to whatever it says back there. So mine's about to boil over there, I can tell. Good boil going there. All right, so I've got my basil ready. And so everything's going in your blender or your food processor. So with the blender though, what you'll want to do is probably add a little bit less ingredients as you go, just because if you don't have especially a high processing blender, it's going to be hard to get it all mixed together. You're going to have to use, you know, a spoon or a spatula to kind of get it in there, mix it well together. A lot of her recipes are food processor based. So again, if you're gonna get this, definitely recommend a food processor. Tori, I hope you have one. All right, the oven went off, so I'm gonna take these walnuts and I'm gonna put them in the oven, just on an ungreased baking sheet. And I'm just gonna put 5 minutes on here. It says 5 to 8 minutes, so, you know, I'm gonna put 6 minutes. So 5 to 8 minutes, we'll leave them in there. So if you're using a food processor, you can start dumping your ingredients in here. Again, if you're using a blender, I'd recommend maybe doing about half the ingredients and then adding them slowly. All right, so we've got the basil. All right, so before the walnuts are ready to start our mixture, we can start getting our veggies ready. So I'm going to, if you got frozen peas and frozen broccoli, you can cook them, steam them in the bag, however you buy them. Frozen veggies are just as good from what I understand as just fresh veggies. You know, they're frozen at the perfect ripeness. So if you're feeling lazy that you're getting frozen, don't. I've started buying more frozen. It's a lot easier, a lot faster to be able to make that stuff. So if you have your frozen stuff, in her recipe she has both frozen broccoli and frozen peas. So she has them that you can add it to a small pot and have enough water to cover them and just boil them to cook them. So you can either do that, or I'm just gonna get my large pan out here and I'm going to just heat up the pan and then put a little bit of oil on here And I know Kelly asked me what oil I have in here. I have canola oil in here. I haven't done much oil research. If you guys have any feedback on any oil to use, I use olive or canola oil. I've used apple cider vinegar sometimes too, but since we have such a big canola oil from Costco, I've been using this one. So, all right, I'm just put a little oil, heat up my pan, let it get a little warm, and I can see that my pot is boiling now. So I'm gonna add my pasta to my pot. I do like to add a little salt. It helps it not stick together as much. It's just your preference. So, all right. A little bit of salt in there, and then again, I'm only gonna add a little bit of my third box. Try and make about 10 servings for us for the week. All right, so I really haven't had chickpea pasta. I know people who don't like it and people who do like it. I haven't had it in a while. I used to see it had added sugar, but now this one at least doesn't have any added sugar. It does have a lot of protein in it, so it's really good if you need some more protein in your plant-based. So it looks like 23 grams of protein, so really great in there. So it looks like approximately 9 to 11 minutes for mine, so I'm gonna make sure that I watch the clock for my pasta. Stir it every once in a while. All right, so while we're going here, hopefully you chopped up your broccoli. Again, I already buy the florets, so I don't really chop much of them. All right, so I'm going to add my onion to the pan now. If you didn't get onion, that's fine. You don't have to have onion in this recipe. She doesn't have onion. Get my onion in there. And then I'm just gonna throw my frozen peas in there too. Again, I look for no added sugar in the back. You'll be surprised a lot of times there are added sugar even in your veggies that they have. All right, so I'm sure I had a measuring for you, but as you know, I am the worst measurer of all time. So it looks like I told you guys about 2 cups of frozen peas. I did quite a few more because I'm actually going to do a little more peas and broccoli this week in mine. And then about 2 heads or frozen broccoli. So I put actually more broccoli in this one. So really up to what you want to do. Oops, boiling over. Chickpea pasta has a really interesting foam on top. I haven't done any pasta besides whole wheat in a while, so I'm very used to that. All right. So for this, it's pretty much how many veggies that you really want in your pasta bake. So I'm gonna do about 2 to 3 cups of broccoli too into the bake. I'm gonna throw it in here with the frozen veggies. And then I'm going to add a little salt to it. Not too many spices, but I'm going to use the organic no salt seasoning. I'm going to spice this one up over here. The biggest, I think, taste is going to be from the pesto. Alright, so we got that going. I get a spatula and stir around your pea and broccoli mixture. And your onions, if you have those. Alright, my walnuts are about to go off here, so it says to cook till they're golden brown. Do light until they're lightly brown. And to me, walnuts are already brown, so I don't know what lightly brown looks like. But they smell pretty good, so I'm going to take them out. Alright, let's get our walnuts out out. You want to keep your oven on. So we're going to put the pasta in there too. All right, I'm just going to try and add them to my food processor here. So I'm going to just kind of try not to burn myself. Try not to lose too many. Dump them in. All right. All right, make sure you keep stirring around your veggies. You want to kind of get those peas unfrozen, get the onion a little cooked. You can always add a little more water to your pan instead of oil. Kind of get that steamed version. Make sure you give your pasta a good stir. You don't want it to stick to the bottom. Probably have a few more minutes for pasta here. I'm going to get a colander ready to drain my pasta. And get that in the sink. All right. Let's see what we can do next here. All right. So the spinach also goes into your food processor. So it looks like I did about 6 cups of spinach. My food processor might not fit all of this, but I might only add 3 to start here. So again, I measure by just a handful. Like to me, this is about a cup. So I've been doing this for a little bit, so I kind of know how to eyeball a cup of spinach out here. So, all right, so I'm gonna do 2 cups. I don't want to fill this too much here. So I'm gonna add some more spinach as I go. I'm gonna come back over here. It's kind of a movement process while you're prepping, going between everything. So I'm gonna come over here, stir my veggies a little more. Make sure they get cooked all around, stir my pasta. And then move back over here. All right, so next in here too, we are adding, so we've got the spinach, the walnuts, the basil, so we need garlic. Garlic. We are going to do 6 cloves of garlic. So again, I just have my minced garlic. I have fresh garlic over there, but I'm not gonna take the time to do that right now. We usually do a lot of fresh garlic over the weekends. All right, so I'm about to do about 6 tablespoons in here. So again, I measured this out with my spoonfuls here. If you don't like garlic that much, don't add as much. You can do 3 tablespoons. You don't have to follow these recipes to a T. Again, I haven't done this, so I'm pretty excited to be doing it with you guys at the same time here. All right. Still use some spinach, so don't put it away. If you haven't put it all in there yet. All right, and then we need some lemon juice, salt, olive oil, nutritional yeast. All right. So I'm going to put the nutritional yeast in now, so let me see how much that was, 2 tablespoons. So put 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. But before I do that, I'm going to give it a little more stir over here, my veggies. So don't forget, we are going to bake the veggies too for a little bit, so you don't want to cook them too much as I'm dropping peas on the floor. So if yours are looking pretty green, if your broccoli is looking pretty green on the head, and your peas, you just want to kind of squeeze one. If they're looking pretty cooked, I would turn off your stovetop. Just let it sit there till we're ready to go. But it looks like I have a few more minutes, so you might too. And then I think our pasta is probably pretty close. And hopefully what you guys all do too, what I've done since I was making macaroni and cheese out of the box. I just like to pick up a pasta, if I can get one. Bring it over here, let it cool down. I just have to feel it, give it a little taste test once it cools down. Yep, I like that pasta. So I'm gonna call it done with the pasta. And then I'm gonna go pour it in my sink. And I'm gonna pour cool water over it so it will not stick together. All right. Now I'll get that cool water shake it around the pasta in here. I like to touch it with my hands to see if it's cooled down all the way. You don't have to get it too cool, just like a little cool to the touch. All right, so I'm gonna bring it back over and dump it back in my pot. Just let it cool off a little more in there. And stir my veggies a little bit. All right, my veggies still are good to go a little bit longer. I'm gonna get my tablespoon. I'm gonna measure out the nutritional yeast. I'm gonna put 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Hopefully you found some nutritional yeast because this is really, I feel like there's so many health benefits to it that I don't know, so I can't tell you. And to me, it just makes your food taste so much better, especially if you don't have, if you're doing plant-based or not eating cheese. It gives that kind of cheese flavoring to it. So really good to add to a lot of recipes. So that's why I have a huge bag of nutritional yeast. Usually you can find it in the baking section, or if you go to some specialty market, you can find it in there too. All right, so we've got the nutritional yeast. Now we need some lemon juice. So I think I might put 2 lemons on my recipe. Let me check. 1 to 2. I'm gonna start with just, I'm gonna do 2 lemons. So I'm gonna grab another lemon. I'm going to cut them both, so however you want to juice your lemon, if you have a juicer, which we do, you can use that. You can cut it into like fourths and just squeeze it in if you don't have that. We have Steven's favorite tool over here. Well, it's not over here. Oop, I used it yesterday. Steven's favorite tool, this juicer here. So I will be, well, I might have to cut the lemons a little smaller because these lemons are very large. So I'm going to cut these in fourths here. And honestly, if you're in fourths and you can just here, you know, I might just squeeze a lemon, to be honest. These lemons are really ripe and easy to squeeze, but you can always stick it in and press it down. Gets a little more of the juice out. Great tool, it's like $7. Use it a lot more than I thought I'd ever use it. I'm just going to squeeze the lemon into the food processor too. And I'm doing 2 lemons because I forgot olive oil. And so the lemon will add a little more liquid to the mixture, so I won't have to put as much canola oil since I only have canola oil to work with. And I'm just trying to spread it around evenly in a circle around it. Alright, so I'm going to stir my veggies again. Here's them sizzling over here. It looks like the bottom of my pan's getting a little sticky and brown, so I'm going to get a little water, and I'm going to add it to my veggies. Just going to get a little more steamed and cooked here. Again, you can pull up a pea. I just pull up a pea and kind of feel what it feels like, and oops, just flies out. So I'm feeling pretty good. I think I only have like a few minutes here. And don't forget that you are going to bake it for a little bit, so it'll cook a little bit more. And then throughout the week, we'll be microwaving it. Or you can eat it cold if you like cold pesto, because I love cold pesto. So it just depends on how much you want to cook it, if you like your veggies a little more raw or more cooked. So, all right, and if you're using a blender for this, you can put all the lemon juice in right away if you want to. I would slowly add dry ingredients to the blender because if you don't have a high speed, it's going to have a hard time with too many dry ingredients. But again, I recommend investment in the food processor. It's always been a great tool in the past. I mean, I've only had it for about 2 months here, but I'm obsessed. Nice to get all that lemon added. Again, if you don't have a juicer or anything, you can do what I'm doing here, just squeeze the lemon in. Try not to get seeds in, which that's the bad part about squeezing it, I just realized. When you do this for the first time, you learn something. So hopefully it's a little delayed and you've heard me say, watch out for the seeds. With the food processor and the blender, the seeds will most likely get blended and they will not kill you. Don't worry, you know, your mom's probably told you a lemon will grow in your stomach if you eat it. It will not. All right, so I've got my lemon juice in there. Nice part about the squeezers is those seeds do not get into your drinks or your food when you're making anything. So I have a few seeds in there, but you know what? They won't hurt if we get a bite of the seeds. So, all right, lemon juice is in there and some salt. So I'm just gonna kind of pinch some salt in there. Actually, let me check my veggies. I think I might call my veggies done here. They're pretty cooked. The broccoli should be getting really green when you're cooking. So it should look like really green here, you can see, when you're cooking broccoli. And you know it's done. You can also taste test it. I'm a big fan of taste testing. All right, so I'm just gonna turn it off. It'll cook a little bit more as it sits here on the hot pan, so I'm just gonna let it keep going a little bit. All right, salt. I'm just gonna do about 2 pinches of salt. I forget what I put in my recipe, but I should probably tell you guys. Let's see what I said salt-wise here. 1 teaspoon of pink salt. So there's benefits to pink salt, I know, and I read in her book, and I forget them all, but really good benefits to that Himalayan pink salt. All right, so I think I got everything. Let's make sure. We've got the spinach, walnuts, basil, garlic, lemon juice, salt, olive oil, nutritional yeast. So I haven't done the olive oil yet. And I know I only have about 3 cups of spinach in here, so can't forget that. And so olive oil, let's see, about a 1/2 cup of olive oil. Let's see what she put in here. Olive oil, about a 1/4 cup. All right, about a 1/2 cup of olive oil. So I don't have olive oil again, so I'm gonna be using the canola oil. So I'm gonna put about a 1/2 cup in here. All right, got that. I keep my spinach in here because I'm gonna add some spinach as the food processor in here. So I need like a kitchen extension cord in here. All right, a little closer. All right, so what you just need to do, and what usually the only thing I do with the food processor is pulse it together. So I'm just gonna pulse it. It's gonna take about maybe 30 seconds here. It's gonna be pretty loud. Turn down your volume if it's up loud. So it got pushed down a little bit with all of that, so I'm going to add about 3 more cups of spinach in here. And I'm going to start pulsing it again here. You can just put it on low, let it cut a little bit more. what you want your pesto to look like so you can have it keep going a bit more. So you know what pesto looks like. I'll show you kind of what mine looks like in here. So it's pretty pesto-y. You see some walnut chunks still, some spinach chunks still. So if you want, you can kind of scrape the sides. I like to scrape the sides to get some of that spinach back down. And I'm gonna let it go for about 30 more seconds in here. Creamy. So honestly, when you're using your blender or anything, you can just don't be afraid to let it go for 3 minutes. You know, if you want it to be super smooth, if you like it a little more crunchy, a little more pesto-esque, which to me has kind of some, I hate the word chunks, but some, you know, chunks of the walnut and everything in it. So all right, we've got our pesto now. Hopefully you have yours. If you're using a blender, it's pretty runny, so it shouldn't have been too bad in the blender. But again, you should probably add the basil leaves and the spinach leaves and the nutritional yeast and that dry stuff slowly to your blender to help it get all together. So, but if you haven't, definitely recommend getting a food processor for all of this. All right, so now that we have everything, I forgot about the sun-dried tomatoes. So we've got sun-dried tomatoes, and we didn't need to do anything with them, but let's see. About a cup. I probably put 2 cups in here. Let me see. Yep, 2 cups of sun-dried tomatoes. All right, so let me see what she said about the sun-dried tomatoes. And we want them chopped. All right, so I have mine in oil. I have a place to buy it that I am unaware of. So I'm just gonna fork them out. About 2 cups worth of sun-dried tomatoes. And maybe you don't like tomatoes, you don't have to add them. Or maybe you couldn't find sun-dried tomatoes, why not add just cherry tomatoes? All right, a lot of sun-dried tomatoes. So I think I'm just gonna eyeball how much I want in here. So I'm just gonna about do this much here. All right, you can see I've got the sun-dried tomatoes. I'm pretty sure she probably didn't want me to get the ones in oil. I'm gonna get a paper towel. I'm gonna kind of try and dab some of this oil off here. Doesn't help too much for me, but. All right. So it says chopped. So I'm honestly just going to easily just chop them up. I think if they're not in oil, they're a little more tough. So definitely chop those ones up. Just kind of messily chopping them up here. Nothing fancy. Someday if I have 7 food processors, I would use a food processor to chop this up too. So however much you want to cut up your sun-dried tomatoes, just get them nice and chopped, whatever length, size you want. All right, I think I'm gonna call that chopped for me. Lemon seeds, the bane of my recipe this time. All right, rinse my hands off. All right, I think we have all the ingredients now. So let's see. All right, so we're gonna toss all of this stuff together. And before then, I'm gonna get a baking dish ready. So if you have those 9x11 casserole dishes, those work. If you have some fancier baking dishes, that works too. You might need a little bit bigger than 9x11. I think it will work. Again, first time doing the recipe with you guys. I'm gonna use a little bigger baking sheet or baking pan. I have a large one that I like to use. can see we have a ton of baking pans to use, so I think just the 9, I think this is a 9, I don't even know, 11 by 9. I think this will work for you. If not, hopefully, if you have a little bit of extra, you have a smaller baking pan you can use to add some of the extra. So let me know, Tori, or anyone else who's prepping along, what kind of it works for you, but we'll see what works for me here. All right, so I'm gonna just put this to the side for now. And so we're gonna toss all of the ingredients we have all around together. I like to use big bowls to toss them around. If you are cooking for one, most likely you can just use the pot your food is in, but I have a lot of pasta in there and I don't want it to all overflow. So I'm gonna get 2 bowls, my favorite bowls. And I'm gonna start just evenly putting everything in there. So I'm gonna take the pasta. I know, it kind of got stuck together. All right, I'm gonna evenly put it between the 2 bowls here. Oops, lost some pasta. All right, I got that. Now, I'm going to evenly spread the veggie mix between the 2. I honestly feel like I almost need the 3rd bowl, but we'll see how this goes. All right, pretty heavy. Got my veggies. Just try and evenly put them between the 2 if you're cooking for 2 people. Too bad, not too full. All right, and then I'm going to put sun-dried tomatoes in here, split it between the 2. Again, if you don't have sun-dried tomatoes or couldn't find them, no worries. You've got them at Costco if you were looking for a lot of sun-dried tomatoes. If you did get the ones not oiled, from my understanding, they will soften within your meals, so don't be too worried if they're super hard to cut, so don't be too worried there. All right. I like to take out my blade of the food processor first, just in case I like to stick my hand in there. So I'm gonna get the blade out, and then I'm gonna evenly put the pesto between the 2 of them. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, let's mix half and half. Yeah, you might need, well, I don't know, you might need 2 9x11s. This is a lot bigger than I thought. Again, in her recipes, they're not really prep recipes. She's got a great theory of just making a lot of food at once, and I like that. But this pasta bake is going to be interesting to see. All right, so I've got most of the pesto in there. All right, and then I'm just going to take my spoon. I'm going to just try and mix everything nicely together here. Get the pesto kind of spread around on all those noodles. And it's pretty runny. Mine's pretty runny. If yours isn't runny and it's kind of sticking together, the pesto, and just add some water. In her recipe, she says add about 3 or 4 tablespoons of water at a time to make it a little more saucy. So at a time, add 1 tablespoon. So not 3 at once, but add 1 tablespoon of water to make it mix a little bit better. But mine is mixing really well. I think those 2 lemons helped, but it looks pretty good. Good and green. All right, yeah, look at this. Bring it a little closer to you guys. You can see it's well mixed together in there. It looks like pesto. Delicious. I feel like I could eat it like this. But alas, we're gonna bake it. All right, I'm gonna stir my other one over here. Again, you might need 2 of these 9x11 baking dishes to do this. All right, it's pretty easy to mix for me. I hope it's easy for you guys. Looks really good. I'm pretty pumped about this one. I've been really into pesto the past couple weeks. It's a great cold meal too, just a cold pesto pasta. All right, perfect. Wow, this turned out really well. All right, so then we're just gonna transfer it to the baking dish. You don't have to spray it or anything, it looks like. I've got pesto in my hair now. And so I'm just gonna try and spread it on here. Let's see how much fits for me. All right, that's a lot. We might make a lot of food this week, you guys, but this is really only like 8 servings, so it's interesting. All right, I didn't stir it as well, it looks like, on the bottom, so you can stir it around in the dish here, get it nice and mixed with all the pesto. Again, this is a big dish, so I'm assuming one of these filled your whole 9 by 11. So you probably need 2 9 by 11s. And hopefully you have that. If not, bake one, set the other to the side, and bake a second one later. So, you know, if things don't work out, just figure out a solution as you're cooking. It looks like you could probably just eat this too without baking it. So you can always just put it in your fridge, even probably bake later if you want to stick it in your fridge. All right. And you can fill this up pretty tall because it's not going to rise. It's pasta, right? Got no flour in there, so you can fill it. I think this is all gonna fit, so I'm just gonna dump it all in here, hoping it mostly fits. This is a lot of pasta. A lot of green for you this week. Green is good. All right, yeah, you're definitely gonna need probably a 9 by 11 in a smaller pan, a smaller baking dish. This fit in my, I don't even know what size pan this is. I don't know who I got it from. Probably grandma. Probably got this big baking dish from you. But it fits in my very large baking dish. I'll have to add that to my prep recipe for you guys so you know what size pans to use. All right, you can see, look how big it is. It all fit in there. All right, and if you got that nutritional yeast, I haven't tried this before, but she said you can sprinkle some more on top as much as you want. It's kind of like, think about it as Parmesan cheese, right? It's delicious. I'm just gonna pretty much put a nice layer on top here. Probably 2 bigger pinches. I love nutritional yeast, so if you're a little questionable about it, don't put it on, or don't put as much as I'm putting on. All right, delicious. All right, here we go. It looks so beautiful. I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, put it in the oven, and it's only 10 minutes in there since it's mostly already cooked. We're baking it to get it a little conglomerated together. I think I just made up a word. All right, so let's do about 10 minutes. I might do a little bit longer just because I doubled the recipe, so just to get a little more together. So, all right, look at that. Pretty much done with the first recipe. All right, so now moving on, we're gonna see what our tofu looks like. So now that we have the Besto, Pesto, Planty pasta baked from the Party in Your Plants cookbook from Talia Pollock here. Again, I'm not being paid for this. She's getting free advertising. So you can tell how much I love this book. It just came out maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Amazing plant-based recipes. She's even got edible cookie dough on here if you're not a plant-based person, but you want to eat a little bit healthier cookie dough. Very good cookie dough. All right, so now we're done with the Besto, Pesto, Planty pasta bake. That's a tongue twister there. We're gonna do, she's got a recipe for Camo tofu. So we have been pressing our tofu over there. I can see my liquid really being pressed out of there. And then she has a recipe for making your own cauliflower rice, which I have not done yet, but I need a little less carbs after the last couple of weeks in Memorial Day weekend. So, all right. So I'm gonna let my tofu still being pressed over there, and I'm gonna need to rinse out my food processor. Most likely you guys will too if you're prepping along, because we're gonna use the food processor to make our cauliflower rice. If you don't have a food processor, you can always try your blender if you have a high-speed blender, or you can, I have some friends who told me they've grated the cauliflower on a grater. So if you have a grater, you can start grating your cauliflower. I'm gonna clean this out really fast for us. And I'm just gonna rinse it. I don't really do a good cleanse because I'm fine with my food being all intermixed. Just do a quick rinse. hopefully, before we get going. Try and clean up some of my stuff. Make sure you're drinking water or coffee while you're prepping. All right, I'm trying to move some of my mess out of the way here. I've also run out of cutting boards at this point, so I might need to wash one. So, guys, this is what happens when you prep. I forgot cauliflower this week. All right, well, hopefully you got cauliflower. I'm really kind of disappointed. Oh, no, I got cauliflower. I lied. I got frozen cauliflower. Thank goodness. Some leftovers, so at least we have cauliflower. Probably not as much as I want, and it's frozen, so I don't really know how to go about this. So, if you got regular cauliflower, and I'm going to use probably some rice that we have left over too, some brown whole wheat rice there. I'm really disappointed in this. I'm going to have to maybe buy some cauliflower today and do this after this. So Tori, let me know how this goes for you. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to just chop the cauliflower. You hopefully know how to chop a cauliflower head. I usually cut it in half, take off the stems, and you don't have to chop it too much. Because it is going into the food processor, so that will cut it up for you very nicely. And then pretty much just pulse it in there until you get to a rice looking for your cauliflower. So these are steamable bags. So I think I'm gonna cook these for a little bit here to defrost them. And then I'm gonna try to food process some frozen cauliflower and see how that works. So start cutting your cauliflower if you've got it. Wow, so that's what happens to everyone. You forget something on your grocery list, probably have to go to the store. I always have extra rice hanging around, so feel free to always buy extra stuff so you have that. So this week it looks like we're gonna have a little bit more rice. Try and clean up a little bit more. Prepping is just a big mess, but it's nice, and I've talked about this in a lot of my videos. It's really nice when you prep and you don't have to make a mess in your kitchen throughout the week. So, very nice part about that. Although I make a huge mess on the weekends. Alright, so let my cauliflower go a little bit more. Hopefully you guys are chopping up your cauliflower to get that rice ready. Hopefully this frozen one works for me. She has some really great recipes in her book too. Hopefully you're chopping your cauliflower right now. But I bought frozen cauliflower actually for, she's got a protein smoothie in here that is super good. It sounds weird, but the frozen cauliflower, wow, it just makes it so creamy. It's very, very good. I really like that to get a little more protein. Add some protein, some plant-based protein powder in there. So very good. All right. Let's get my bags out here. All right, they're a little defrosted for me. So, get your food processor back together. Let's see. All right, well, decent amount of serving size in here. I'm gonna microwave this back for a little bit. All right, so hopefully you cut yours into florets or into just some bigger chunks for your food processor. I knew I forgot something at the grocery store. Don't rush to that grocery store, guys. You always forget something. All right. Let's see how the frozen ones end up here. Let me grab this bag. Alright, so hopefully they're chopped up fairly well for you. You might have to do 2 rounds of it because they might not all fit in your food processor or grate it or whatever. So you can see I've got it all in there. I'm just gonna pulse slowly to get it into a rice formation. You don't want to do too much, you'll make cauliflower mashed potatoes, you know? All right, so I'm gonna start pulsing here. Not too many pulses, I don't want to over pulse. So I think frozen will work pretty well too. I've got some bigger chunks in there. I might pulse a few more times. Alright, I'm gonna call this it. Alright, so this worked decent. I'm losing my cauliflower. It's worked decently well. With the frozen too, so I'm gonna show you. Kind of looks like onion, but I kept it in a little bigger. It's not gonna look exactly like rice, but we'll see. So yours probably looks a little different if you have fresh cauliflower, so don't make my mistake and forget it. But it looks like frozen works too, just defrost it. I didn't do all the way, I didn't wanna cook it all the way through, but I defrosted it about halfway from what the bag said. All right, so after we do that, I'm going to get my skillet that has the veggies in it, and I'm not going to care too much here with my other veggies in here, so I'm just going to stick it on, put it over medium heat, put some oil on it, probably about a tablespoon of oil on there, let it heat up. So it looks like our Besto pesto pasta is about to be done, so I'm going to check that out in the oven before we get started. Oh yeah, it looks good. Yeah, it looks like a nice layer on top, kind of like a bake, a little browned on the top. So I think I'm gonna call it done here. Turn off the timer. I'm gonna keep my oven on and we're gonna set it here in a second for the tofu. As soon as I find my oven mitts, here they are. All right, I will show you how delicious this pesto looks now. Oh yeah, nice and browned on the top. Let me get a better handle of it for you guys. Woo. Looks so good, right? All right, and it will cook more as it sits out here. I'm gonna set it right by you guys. Let it cool, bake together a little bit more. It looks so great. I'm super excited for that. All right, so our first meal is done. I don't know what time it is, so it didn't take too long. Hopefully, but again, this is my first time, so once you start learning these recipes and doing things over and over again, it gets faster and faster for you. But again, it's really nice because now I have my lunch for the whole week. I don't have to make anything. I just pull my Tupperware out, take it to work, or eat it at home now that I'm working at home, and it's just so easy for the week. It's definitely worth that 2 to 3 hours on the weekend if you can find that time to prep, and with your significant other or with your kids or family. It's really nice. All right, so now we're on the cauliflower rice that I just used the food processor to make. And so I have the oil heating over my pan over there on medium heat. And then if you want to get some herbs, spices, whatever you want to get, let's go to my recipe to make sure I'm following what I told you guys. All right, 400 degrees, so our oven's already at 400 degrees for the tofu, perfect, keep it there. And then we've got the cauliflower, and then you got salt, pepper, any seasonings you want to it. So I'm going to add, let's see what I want this week. I'm gonna add some garlic powder, I'm gonna do some paprika, and I always like a good cumin, so I'm gonna get some cumin too. But honestly, it's whatever spices you want to use. So if you like more spicy, do some more paprika, some chili, red pepper, whatever you guys like. You can experiment a little bit, it never hurts. All right, so I'm also gonna get I already have one out. It's probably really hot because I have it right there, yeah. I'm gonna get a lid out. I have a big pan that's not gonna fit, but you are gonna wanna cover your cauliflower rice a little bit. So, and it's really only cooked for about 5 minutes, so not very fast, a lot faster than rice, at least my brown rice. So, all right, I'm gonna throw this on here. You might have a lot of rice, so you might need to do 2 iterations of this, but I'm gonna make sure it's mixed well. I might put a little more oil in there so it doesn't stick. All right, and then I'm just gonna add the spices on top. So I eyeball it, but I recommend throwing out a teaspoon for anything. So I'm just gonna eyeball some paprika on here. And some cumin for me. I'm doing some garlic powder, but if you just want it, if you want it pretty plain, I just do some salt and pepper on here. So now I get some my salt and pepper. But this is a good alternative, obviously less carby than real rice. I need less carbs for sure after my Memorial Day weekend, last weekend. Alright, and then with all the spices on there, I'm just going to mix it all together. You can add more spices if it doesn't look like it's enough. But get that spice all mixed between your cauliflower rice here. Make sure it's on medium, about a 5 out of 10. You don't want it too hot for the rice. Alright. So my pan is big and I don't have a cover for it. Hopefully you have a cover for your pan, but if you don't, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to try and get it all together in mine, and I'm just going to cover it on the pan here. And then I'm going to let it cook for about a couple minutes here before we come back and check on it, so we can get started on our tofu. All right, get some stuff out of the way. You have some working space. All right, let me get into my book here. So we have the camo tofu. I wanted to rhyme. I keep saying camo tofu. All right. Again, Tori, I know you're trying this with me while we go, and I did not like tofu the first time I tried it. So we're experimenting here to see if we like this tofu. So hopefully, Tori, hopefully we like it. We'll see. All right, so we were pressing our tofu. If you just joined or joining a little bit later, we pressed our tofu between 2 cutting boards to drain it a little bit so it's not as liquidy, which might help with the flavoring, because that was what I did not like last time, how I'm not really a big texture person, but I just did not like the texture of the tofu. So, all right, it's pretty flattened over here. I'll bring it, let me stick it on my cutting board. Looks like we got a lot of the liquid out. So you can see it's been pretty flattened. It used to be a nice thicker square here, so I think we got a lot of that liquid out. All right, so we're gonna lay it on a cutting board. Can't forget about our rice over there. And then what we wanna do is to cut the tofu into cubes, the smaller the better. So last time I think I did pretty thick cubes when I first made tofu for a different recipe, not this one. This is definitely a new recipe. I'm gonna cut it into cubes here. It's fairly easy to cut. I'm gonna do really small cubes here. I'll show you a cube size I'm gonna try. I might just kind of chop it up, Tori, I don't know. It's a little drier than the last time, so I think I'm already gonna like it a little bit better. I think that's the answer to the tofu, is pressing it for sure. All right, I just cut it a half, maybe like 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm just gonna cut it the other way. Just kind of dicing it, to be honest. So I'm honestly gonna cut mine in these tiny, tiny pieces because I'm nervous about the tofu. So you can see, barely fits between my fingers here, kind of, that size. So I'm gonna cut them pretty small, Tori, if you wanna follow along. Get them pretty diced up here. I don't want that big of chunks. I'm nervous. Again, if you just joined, we're trying these recipes from this amazing cookbook I got about 3 weeks ago, Partying Your Plants. Again, free advertising for her. She is not paying me to advertise this book. I am obsessed. If you're not a plant-based person, it's very friendly for people who are not plant-based people. She kind of talks about her story and makes it easy and easy to understand too. It's one of the best parts, right? All right, I'm just kind of chopping it up, Tori. I'm dicing it across here. Any big chunks in there? I'm trying to. So you can see pretty small chunks, nice. All right, I think that's probably good. I'm not gonna cut it too small, otherwise we'll just have basically rice tofu too. All right, so I'm gonna go back over to my cauliflower rice over here that's covered. I'm gonna lift it up and I'm gonna mix it around a bit more. I'm gonna cover it back up for a little bit. I think it's been maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, so maybe 2 or 3 minutes more here. All right, so we cut them into smaller cubes, and now I'm going to get a bowl, and I'm going to start tossing it in seasoning, just like chicken, hopefully. So, all right, get our tofu in here. All right, so for her recipe, she really just has it fairly plain with some olive oil and some salt. So I kind of want to follow it, but I might not follow it to the exact T. I might add some other ingredients here. All right, I get my oil, and she said for 1 package, just about a tablespoon of olive oil. So I'm gonna estimate a tablespoon in there, and then I'm gonna get my salt. And she said about a 1/4 teaspoon, so I'm just gonna pinch them in there. And so I'm gonna pretend back in the day, Tori, when we used to probably eat chicken more, whatever other seasonings you want in there, you can add. I'm just gonna shake it around a little bit. You can get a spoon and probably spoon it around a little bit. All right, I've got tofu everywhere on my counter here. I'm gonna add a little pepper too. I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit plain. We put some seasoning on there, so I'm just gonna do salt and pepper on mine. But again, she just has salt on hers, so hopefully this is good, Tori, we'll see. All right, so then we need a baking sheet. I'm gonna get a smaller baking sheet here. I'm gonna spray mine a little bit so it doesn't stick with some cooking spray. You can put some parchment paper down or aluminum foil on your baking pan. So I'm gonna use my hand a little bit to get it off the bottom. Got a little stuck. So probably a spoon would have been better. Try and spread it out. Oh, I'm nervous about this. It's a little questionable. I think I cut it too small. All right, we'll see, we'll see. Trying tofu. I need more protein in my life. So we'll see how this goes. Tori, smaller the better. Saw your comment. Yep. All right, small. You can see how small mine is. Little bitty pieces. Pretending it's chicken. All right, so now it's going in the oven. Let's see how long. So it looks like it's in there for about 25 minutes, and about halfway through we're gonna flip it around. So I'm gonna put 10 minutes, or I'm gonna put 12 minutes on the timer so we know. All right, most likely our rice is done now, so lift that up. It looks pretty good. I'm kind of impressed with this frozen cauliflower rice. All right, turn off my oven here. Look at this rice. Cauliflower rice. Nice. Looks good. Do a taste test if you want. It smells good. Let it just simmer there, put a little bit on the pot. If it's still pretty liquidy, you might want to just cook it a little bit longer. I think it's kind of like rice. We want the liquid to evaporate. All right, so we got the tofu in the oven. We've got the rice done. And then, so in her book, Parting Your Plants, this is 2 different recipes. So it's just a general camo tofu. And she uses it a lot in her recipes, you know, enchiladas, pastas, whatever you want to do. I thought it'd be good to mix it with her cauliflower rice in her book. So we're doing both the cauliflower rice and the tofu. And so with this, I'm a big fan of like rice, a protein, and veggies. So a lot of times I do rice, beans, and veggies. So this time I'm doing rice, tofu, and veggies. So I had you guys get some optional veggies. You got asparagus, edamame, bell peppers, broccoli, carrots, whatever you want in there. Whatever veggies you want to add. You can get frozen and cook frozen. So that's what I did this week. I was a little lazy and decided, not lazy, I shouldn't call it lazy. I decided that I was just going to use my frozen veggies, Costco version, the vegetable blend. So in here I've got some broccoli, some bell pepper, some, I don't even know what those white things are, like the snow, I don't even know, but so good, some snow peas in here. So I'm pretty much just going to hand cook these veggies and add them with my tofu and my rice. So if you have anything else you want to add, black beans would be really good, I think, with this meal. So if you want to black beans, tofu, and the cauliflower rice, that'd be delicious. You can add whatever you want on top. Stephen really likes hot sauce, and I really like sriracha. So, you know, sprinkle that sriracha on top. We also get avocado every week for some, you know, healthy fats and to fill us up a little bit more. So we always put avocado with our rice. So it's pretty much just however you want rice. If you want to add soy sauce or the liquid aminos to it, super good to add there too. So this is kind of a recipe for you to play around with. It's pretty fast. The tofu takes some time, but not too long. And if ever you don't like that tofu, you know, I'm a big fan of just adding black beans and pinto beans to the recipes. So whatever you desire. Also, a lot of times, just like Talia talks about in her book, I always just find whatever's in my fridge, leftovers. We always have some sort of leftovers in the fridge. So I know I have some asparagus left over from last week. So I'm probably going to cook some of that too. We actually have some black beans, so I might add some black beans to a few. But so if you have your veggies, whatever you got, you know, start cutting, prepping, and getting them ready to cook while the tofu is cooking. So I'm going to right now move some stuff out of the way. Drink some coffee on this lovely Sunday morning. And since our rice is over there right now, I'm actually going to start the prep for the rice. So if you either want to put it all in a big container, if you don't have a lot of small Tupperwares, if you're working from home and just want it in a big container, it's easy too. Or if you have it in a larger container and throughout the week put it into a Tupperware, whatever works best for you with prepping. We like to just have it already ready to go. Wake up, if you wake up late, running out of the house, you can still grab your Tupperware and go. And we like the glass Tupperware because we're microwaving it, and it's probably better to microwave that glass than most plastics around. So I'm going to get some big glass bowls. So we've got our glass Tupperwares here. And so this is our dinner this week, and a little less carby. We like the pasta bake that we made is for lunch, so a little more carbs at lunch, a little less carby for dinner, a little lighter stomach to go to sleep on. So this is our dinner, and usually I make dinner for 4 nights of the week. I make it Monday through Thursday, and then Friday night we usually try to make something fun. So I only make 8 meals. So I'm gonna get my glass containers ready. Did you hear that, Grandma? I called them containers instead of Tupperwares. I've been chastised that these are not Tupperwares. All right, so I'm gonna get some rice here ready. Hopefully you have a little more than me. I didn't get as much as I wanted, but I'm gonna start with, I just got the 3rd cup out and just throw a 3rd cup of my cauliflower rice in here. try to give, you know, as Steven as a man, a little bit more than me. Smells really good though. Again, taste test your food. See if you like the rice. If you want to add a little bit of different seasoning on here. All right. If you actually got 2 cauliflower heads, you probably have much more rice than me. You probably had to use your food processor twice to get all the cauliflower in there. All right. The nice thing about prepping is there's a lot of leftovers sometimes. So last week we had some rice leftovers. So I'm gonna get my rice. We've got some rice from last week left over. So I'm gonna get some, where did I just put that measuring cup? Over there. So I'm gonna use some of the brown rice from last week that we have. Just even a little bit more. We've been having protein shakes at night too, so our meals do look a little, Steven would say pinner, but they look a little, like a little bit less there, so. Looks like my video is frozen. Hopefully it's not frozen anymore. Hopefully you guys can see me. Turn that off so I have some better Wi-Fi for you guys. All right, so I've got my rice in there. I hear the tofu cooking. And now, I'll get a little bit more of this rice out. Now with the same pan that had my rice, I'm gonna cook my veggies. So you can cook veggies however you want. This is just, you know, I've used the Instant Pot to steam. You can steam your veggies. I'm just like the pan usually. I like to add some water to the pan and cook my veggies. So with this, you can do just stovetop cooking. Let's see what it says in here. Lightly oil it for some stovetop. Microwave, whatever you want. You can even add water to your pan too. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil here. And then I'm gonna add quite a few veggies in here. It looks like about 1 cup is a serving size. So if you're about trying to do 8 servings here, 8 handfuls. Do 9 handfuls. All right. All right, so start cooking your veggies however you like. If you're just putting them on top of the pan with your broccoli or snow peas or whatever you got, put it on a medium heat, stir around. Let it cook. Frozen veggies also have some water in them, so let that go. And now I can't see any comments, so I'm trying to look to see over here if there's any comments. All right, we've got that all prepped out. And so now here's your time. We've got about 3 minutes. I'm gonna look at the tofu really fast. All right, looks okay. And I'm gonna start just putting some stuff away to try and make some more room for the last recipe here we have going. So clean up your mess a little bit. Again, prepping makes a huge mess, but it's super nice that throughout the week, all I do is heat up my Tupperware, eat it, and then this is the only thing I have to clean up on the weekdays, and it's so great compared to having to cook any meals throughout your week. All right. We have about 2 minutes till the tofu's ready, so we can start getting the last meal ready here. Again, I like to try and kind of clean up as I go, as to not have too much of a mess to clean up at the end, and to not get everything super messy. All right, so our last recipe, I made these last week too. I'm sorry, technical difficulties last week. Could not get my camera to work. Thank goodness I have Apple Care, so got a new phone out of it. All right, so you can get some of the recipe ready. We have about a minute here to get some steps in. Get your dates, your coconut, your shredded coconut, cacao powder, your coconut oil, vanilla. All right, so I got my cacao powder, my unsweetened coconut. Vanilla is over here. Got some vanilla. And then my coconut oil. I'll go grab my dates before we get this tofu out. Got my dates. All right, looks like this tofu is about to be ready. Well, not ready, we're flipping the tofu halfway through here, so I always lose my oven mitts. All right, tofu is beeping. Keep it on because we're gonna put the tofu back in. I'm gonna pull it out. Oh, it's looking pretty good here. You can see a little bit, a little brown, probably more brown on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna get my spatula, if I have one. And I'm just gonna, you don't have to do this perfectly. I like whenever I flip anything, I just kind of flip it around, move it around. Nothing crazy. If it's sticking too much, add a little more oil to the bottom. But I kind of just move it all around. And then try and re-flatten it all out. All right. Well, it's looking pretty good to me. Again, if you're just joining, trying tofu again for the second time in my life. First time I did not like it. So hopefully this time a little bit better, a little bit more plain. All right, back in, and so we probably want it in for, let me confirm that it's 25 minutes that we want to cook this. I don't want to overcook. 25 minutes, I'm putting it in for another 12 minutes here. Let it go. All right, so your veggies are probably cooking over here too, so make sure you keep stirring those. And again, I always remind everyone, you're gonna be warming up your meals. So again, you don't need to cook your veggies too soft because you are gonna be warming up your rice, veggies, and tofu for about 2 more minutes in the microwave. So again, you don't want them to get too mushy. So don't cook them, overcook them on the stove. All right, coconut energy balls. So let me make sure, where is my food processor? All right, so with this, you can use a food processor or a blender, same kind of scenario again. You want to slowly add things to the blender, but the food processor, you can put it all in here. So I'm going to just clean mine out really fast, prepare for these delicious energy balls. All right, energy ball time we made. So I made these last week, and I think Tori, you might have made them too. But these were one of the best energy balls I've ever made. So good, so easy. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ingredients. So super good. Really the best energy balls I've ever made, to be honest. Even better than the chocolate chip ones, I think. So, all right, for this, last week I did this recipe with 20 dates. I might make even more because I had like 5 balls a day. They were so good. And I wanted them again this week, so I think, did you make a comment, Tori, over there? Daddy loved them too. Yeah, they were so good. I was so surprised. I'm usually a big fan of just like the chocolate chip oat peanut butter ones. And so I've been trying to do a little bit more recipes, and this one I think is the best one I've made. So with dates, you want to take the pit out of them most likely, unless you found pitted dates already. So do about 20 dates. If you have a Costco or maybe even Sam's Club or one of those warehouse memberships, I found I have dates at Costco, and there's so many in here and they're so good. This is like the best sugar-free, you know, no added sugar to make any of your foods taste so sweet. I love dates. You might not think you like them, but I swear, just try this recipe. So, so good. All right, my veggies are almost done, so I don't want to overcook them. Yep, I'm gonna turn it off. And we'll cook a little bit more in there, so they're still a little hard, but again, I'm gonna microwave them for 2 minutes, so. All right, so you want about 20 dates. And this makes about 24 smaller energy balls, but if you want to make more, you can either double it or just like 1.5 the recipe, which is, I think I'm going to 1.5 the recipe, so I'm going to try and do 30 dates here. You can just use all the dates you have. And you see from Costco, I still have so many dates left, and I already used them before this. So it comes with a really good amount of dates. I literally buy one every time I go almost, because they're just so good to add to smoothies. If you ever want to make, you know, baked goods, there's a lot of good date recipes to make icing or to put in your cakes or your cupcakes or your muffins. So delicious. All right, so we have to pit these. Try and do this quickly. Not too quickly. If you're following along with me, I'll make sure not to go too fast. But just these were so delicious. Again, make sure you're checking if your veggies are still going, if you're chopping right now. I post these videos later too on Facebook and YouTube, so you can always watch along, pause if I'm going too fast. So we'll pit all of these dates here. So if you're using a blender, I don't know if I put this on here just because, I think I did put it on there as a note. I used to make these with a blender before I bought the food processor. What I would do is I would put them all in a big bowl, put them in, oops, don't want to lose that in my rice. I put the dates in a big bowl, and then I'd microwave them with water. So I'd cover them cover them right to the top with water. And then I would microwave it for about a minute, and that softens the dates obviously with the water. And then I would drain about half the water, maybe even 3/4 of the water out, and then I would dump all the dates. Maybe not 30 though, 30 is a lot. I'd probably do like 10 at a time. Maybe 15, you can probably do 15 at a time. And then you can blend them nicely, and then if they're not blending very nicely, just add some water to it. Because you can add some more dry ingredients, you know, you can add a little bit more coconut. And then, if you keep them in the fridge too, and they're a little, you know, if they're hard to roll and liquidy, put it in the fridge for a little bit and let it harden too. That's really the key to making these energy balls. Because these ones were pretty sticky when I first made them. They were still delicious. But once they're in the fridge and the next day we ate them, wow, so good. All right, almost done pitting. But again, this is a great snack. Eventually, you know, when you go back to work, or if you've already gone back to the office, or have never left the office, you know, there's always candy everywhere. I feel like there's a candy bowl at, you know, the front desk. There's treats brought in. There's donuts, or, you know, there's that just sitting around your house. But if you want to try to, you know, change your habit from eating those unhealthy processed snacks, I just try to add these. You know, I eat 1 or 2 if I see that there's cupcakes in the office, and, you know, maybe I have the ability to not have a cupcake that day. Or maybe I only have 1 cupcake instead of 2 cupcakes. So it's nice to have these snacks laying around. They're really good travel snacks too, you know, if you're driving. If you're flying, I've brought them on planes before. but they're really good, a good travel snack too. All right, all pitted, hands are a little sticky. Again, if you have a blender, put them in water in the microwave for a little bit. All right, we've got 5 minutes on the tofu, but I think we can get through this before. All right, so I've got all my ingredients here. Put this out of the way. So I'm gonna get my food processor back out here and find my blade. And then I'm just gonna add all the dates to the bottom here. All right, so I 1.5 mine, so I'm doing 30 dates, but if you're doing 20, follow the ingredients. So with that, you need 3 cups of shredded coconut. And hopefully you got the unsweetened, so no added sugar to it. Let me get this open. All right, my cup is dirty. Hopefully I have a 1/2 cup in here. Yep. So I'm gonna do 4 cups because well, maybe 4.5 cups. I'll see here. So start adding your 3 cups. If you don't like coconut, I'm sorry, you might have to find a different recipe because I don't know a good alternative to coconut here. I recommend if you haven't had coconut in a while that you try it. Because I used to not be a big coconut fan until I was older. My taste buds changed, I guess, right? All right, a lot of coconut in there. I might end up using the whole bag here. All right, and then you want 4 tablespoons of coconut oil. So I've got this huge one from Costco I love to get. So you're gonna wanna melt the coconut oil. So get it out. I don't know if I melted it last time though, but maybe I did. Actually, I'm gonna try not melting it since we have a food processor. If you have a blender, I recommend melting it. I'm just gonna put the 4 tablespoons. I'm gonna do 1 more tablespoon just because I, 1.5, the recipe's for myself, so. All right. Honestly, it's probably enough. I'm probably going a little overboard here. All right, so if you're using the food processor, no need, let's not blend it. Hopefully that works well. And then cacao powder, we're gonna do about a 1/2 cup. I love cacao powder. Where did I put the 1/2 cup? All right. So much cacao powder. And I'm gonna do a little bit more since I, again, added a few more dates to make a few more balls for us this week. All right, tofu 2 minutes. Let's keep going. And then 2 tablespoons, or teaspoons, sorry, not tablespoons, of vanilla. I'm gonna try and measure out. I'm not the best vanilla measurer, so, all right. So 2 teaspoons, this is a tablespoon, so I'll do tablespoon. 1/2 teaspoon will work. All right, so 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna do 3 since I have a little bit more. But again, measure at your own discretion. All right, tofu's almost ready, so I'm just gonna get my lid on and hold really fast before we get going on that. So hopefully you have that all together. If the tofu's beeping and you're still doing this, no rush. I know the beeping gets annoying, but it's not gonna die in there most likely. All right, let me get my oven mitts. All right, let's check out what this looks like. It's looking pretty good. It's actually smelling pretty good. I'm a little excited about this tofu. Just checking to see if I've got any questions. All right, 10 seconds, I'm calling it quits. I'm gonna turn off my timer. It's looking pretty good. I'm not turning my oven off yet because I don't know. I'm gonna do a little taste test here. All right, where did my spatula go? Gonna move it around a little bit. bit so it doesn't get too sticky. Feels pretty crispy actually. I don't know about yours, Tori. If you want yours more crispy, like chicken, I definitely keep your oven on, put it in a little bit longer maybe. But I made pretty small bits here, so. Not bad, Tori. So I'm gonna leave mine, spread out there. I'm gonna leave mine on this tray and let it cook on this hot tray for a little bit longer. I think it's pretty good. It's not as bad. I think smaller the better. But if you want it a little more crispy, if you taste it, put it in the oven, you know, start at like 3 to 5 minutes, a little bit longer. I'm gonna let mine, I'm gonna turn off my oven. I'm gonna let mine just cook on top of the pan for a little bit here. Did you make a comment, Tori? They are crispy. I know, not a ton of flavor, Tori, you're right. I have to upgrade that recipe. So I'm going to use that tofu again in here. And then I'm gonna add, I'm most likely gonna put sriracha on mine to add a little bit of flavor. So it is pretty plain, but to me, you know, it tastes kind of like just plain chicken, right? You didn't season your chicken very well. But we're gonna play with tofu some more and then try and make some good recipes. So I'm gonna let that go a little bit more. We'll taste test again here after it cools down a little bit more. I don't think I've had any water this morning, so make sure to drink your water. Yep, I do too. I think they'll be good with the rest of the stuff, Tori. I think it'll be a good protein. I'm only using it because I think I need a little more protein in my recipe. So trying out tofu, and we're gonna try and make some good recipes. Maybe we'll make some good sauces with some of it too sometime. Get some ideas here. All right, so I've got all my ingredients in my food processor for the coconut energy balls. Coconut chocolate energy balls, really. So honestly, all you're gonna wanna do is just pulse it and get it all mixed together right now. So get into a blender. Hopefully you didn't add all the coconut flakes yet or all of the dry ingredients, but you should slowly add those. And if you need to add water to get it to blend a little bit better, add water slowly, like a tablespoon at a time. And so let's just start blending and pulsing our coconut balls here. Take some time to get those dates in there. So if you're using a food processor for the first time, don't be afraid. Just keep going. It will process. Smell it right now. It literally, if you like Samoa cookies, it literally smells like a Samoa cookie. More chocolate, but Samoa cookie. Love those Girl Scout cookies. Pretty good for me. Just if you follow my recipe to a T, last week I did and it was really great. This week I add a little bit more, but it looks like mine's a bit wet. And so I'm gonna add just a little bit more coconut to mine. And if you don't have a food processor and are using your blender, you can add the coconut after to you. If you put it in a bowl, mix it together, add the coconut. You can definitely make it a little bit more thick to be able to roll into balls. So, all right, a little bit more pulsing for me. And then if yours starts to get kind of stuck on the top, you can always get a spoon it down. Same with how you do in the blender, right? Spoon it down and around. If it's too dry, you can add some more coconut oil. You can add a little bit of water, just a little bit, especially if it's a little bit dry. So, all right, a bit more. sauce. All right, show you what mine looks like. Take out the blade here. You can see it kind of crumbles pretty easily, but you can still mold it into a ball. So make sure you kind of play with it. Make sure you can still mold it into a ball there. All right, move some of this out of the way. All right, now we're gonna roll them up before we All right, so I like to get a big Tupperware. To be able to store these balls in. It's also, if you're going to work, it's nice to just put like 2 or 3 aluminum foil, wrap it around, or get a smaller Tupperware and put them in there. I just put them in a big one, and then before we go to work, I put some in either a plastic baggie or use a smaller Tupperware. So, all right, so we've got our mixture here. Make sure no questions. Good morning, Anna. All right, so I got the coconut balls here. I'm just gonna get a little bunch, and you can always use, like if you have a small ice cream scoop, that's always really nice too to use. I don't have one, maybe I should invest, but I just like to try and make sure I get them together, squish them together. Your hands get a little oily from that coconut oil, but you know, I'm gonna make about this size, a little mini version, and you can make whatever size you want. But I've been loving these ones, so I just like kind of the bite size. And they don't have to be perfect balls, you know. It's more for feeding you that, you know, when you have that sweet tooth taste. So pretty much just roll whatever size you want. And you can tell, you can even taste them now. They're really good, but they will harden in the fridge and be very, very good. So we're gonna just roll these up here. And if they're too dry, again, you can still food process. A little water, add some coconut oil. If they're too wet and you can't get them any drier, especially if you have a blender, just put the whole thing, you know, put it all in Tupperware, or even just in your blender here. You can just throw it in the fridge, you know, for like 20 minutes, take it out, and it should be easier to roll into balls. These will make a ton of balls, especially whatever size you want to make. You can make them bigger to not make as many. But very good. All right. So I'm sure you guys are still rolling with me. I'm going to only roll till I fill this one up. And then I'm going to get together the rest of our meal, our dinner over here. These are also good breakfasts too. If, you know, Steven and I don't really eat breakfast. We've been more on this intermittent fasting. So this is more of an afternoon snack or a little dessert at the end of dinner. But these would be a good breakfast to go to. Have a few of these, some fruit. You got your dates in here, so you got some fruit. And I just kind of squish it together with my hands. I don't really roll these ones. They're a little drier. More kind of a nice squish together here. Kind of like Play-Doh. Again, if you're just joining, I have this recipe on my Facebook page or on Instagram. And this is one of the best energy ball recipes I've made to date. I definitely probably need to try an oat one again soon with some chocolate chips. Those ones are always really good too. Those used to be my favorite, but man, this coconut cacao powder, it's very, 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 very good. All right, as to not take up your whole morning here, You can see it's only been about 2 hours and we're pretty much done with all our meals. Think about how nice that is. We just made, I mean, I just made 20 meals-ish, 18 meals-ish, and a snack in 2 hours. This is our meals for the whole week. So it's, you know, now during our week, it's gonna take 2.5 minutes to cook our meal. So it's really nice to meal prep. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands a little bit so I can get together the rest of the meal here. Roll the balls after. All right, so we've got our cauliflower rice in the Tupperwares that we did here. And we did our veggies. So now I'm going to just evenly place the veggies in here. Whatever veggies you want, you can add it, add flavoring to your meal. There's some mushrooms in here that I put too, so really good. It's good to get your veggies in for the week. You know, veggies really help with, you know, so much stuff, right? I mean, it even helps with weight loss. I might have to make some more veggies. It looks like I might not have enough. I might have to make some more veggies later here. But this is probably enough. We are eating protein smoothies at night too, so again, our meals are a little less for dinner as we have our protein smoothie too. All right, this is cooled off for me. Let's taste test this. Nice and crispy. I like it crispy, I think. Yep, that's pretty good. It's pretty plain. I didn't put too many seasonings on it, but I think it's a good additive. And you know, it's supposed to be camo tofu, right? So you're not supposed to taste it. You get it camouflage. So she adds it to a lot of her recipes. Like she has a pad thai I want to try that has this in it. And so I'm just trying it with the rice as to hide my protein in here. So I'm going to evenly spread out this tofu for me. And again, this week I only made one. Steven wanted some meat this week, so you know, making his and her meals here. I really like the crunchiness of this though. I think smaller is better, and really doing that pressing it is really beneficial to not get that texture I don't really like of tofu. Even though I like seafood, but the tofu, I don't know. It's just questionable. All right. So Steven will make his ground turkey later, or I'll probably make some after this for him. And then he'll just add it to the top. So that's what's really nice about making meals like this, especially if you have non-plant-based or vegan eaters in your household. You can make meals like this where, you know, the tofu one is for you, and then you can always make a meat to put into their meal too. So that's a nice piece about kind of making meals like this. All right. So definitely think I should add more veggies to it. So hopefully you had a little bit more veggies than I did. But what you can do to add any flavoring to it is soy sauce or any sriracha, hot sauce. I'm a big sriracha fan. So I will just probably do a nice artistic squirt of sriracha on top here. And then that way when I heat it up, it's already there and I can just mix it all together. And we did buy avocados for the week, so we had avocado on top too, mix it in there. So it's just a really easy meal. Throw anything that you find in your freezer in here, but very easy. You can see we're good to go here for those meals. So just add the ground turkey for him and it'll be delicious. All right, now I want to try this pasta bake. So I'm gonna try and cut one piece for you guys to see what it looks like. Let's move some of these out of the way so I can have some room for you guys. All right, the pasta bake is cooled. Looks very good, doesn't it, guys? I'm really excited about the pasta bake. In her cookbook, The Party Your Plans, another little shout out that we're trying all these recipes from. This is more, she has this more as a side dish to bring to, you know, parties and stuff, but I thought this would be a great meal to meal prep. So I'm just gonna try and evenly cut in here. And again, it's not gonna stay all together, there's no way, unless you baked it longer and everything. So I'm honestly, it's gonna be a little messy, but I'm just gonna get a nice bunch here, put it in there. And here is our pasta bake for the week. I'm gonna taste test this. Oh yeah, that was good. Hopefully you like it. Got my pasta in here, and I'll probably put them in all separate containers for us. Isn't it amazing, Tori? It's really good. I like it. Hopefully you have the nutritional yeast. I think that's what really makes that top coat of nutritional yeast really, really good. All right, so you're gonna either leave it in your casserole dish once it's fully cool, which mine almost is, so yours probably will be too. Taste a little more. Delicious. You can put the casserole dish just straight in your fridge once it cools all the way, and then just like spoon it out for your week. So it's super easy, or you can put it in separate or containers like we do too. So that works for you guys too. But that is all the meals. So we made the pesto planty pasta bake. We made some cauliflower rice with camo, tofu, and then we made these really, really delicious coconut chocolate energy balls. So that's pretty much our meals for the week. So easy peasy. Now we've got, you know, the whole mess to clean up here. So, you know, about 2.5 hours or less, especially if you have someone helping you cook. But now we're ready to eat for the whole week. Healthy meals, and try to avoid, you know, going through the McDonald's drive-thru or going out to eat or anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed prepping along with me. I'll post this video on Facebook too, so you can watch it if you need to in the future. All right, guys, thanks so much. Have a great day. It's really nice here in Indianapolis, so I'm hoping you guys get to enjoy some weather. Bye, everyone.